What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I am Alex, and I'm joined by a very special guest, the first time on this channel, but not the first time we've talked to each other. I wanted to say, make sure you guys are all subscribed to Mastercast. I'm going to leave his stuff in the description so you guys can check out his channel. But I want to just firstly thank you for being here. I know we've talked on and off. We've tried to get this work, and I'm really happy that we were able to, and we were able to talk to each other. So thank you for being here.
Oh man, thanks for having me, dude. Yeah, I've been a fan of the channel for a while. Just connected over Twitter and stuff. And yeah, no, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here and hanging out with your subscribers and you and chatting Scream and the madness that is part 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a theme, right? The last couple of weeks, anybody who's talked about it, this is not the stuff we thought. Well, recently it is, the set and all that kind of stuff, which we'll talk about. But the starting off point was not where we thought we were going to. So you and I, let's start there. You and I had talked about this when it first happened, and you were the one who broke it. There were people on Instagram. You're the one. No, I mean there were people on Instagram. There were, but. And I've talked about it a bit, and we can hear what you have to say about it too. The initial response of believing that either Neve is outright lying to you and people, or you're an outright liar, was just very funny to me to see the community literally implode, specifically the Twitter community, implode upon each other. I find it very funny when that happens ever. But I wanted to just get your take, because I know you don't let it affect you as much, but I want to just kind of get your take. So you broke it. What was it like having people kind of either side with you or just think you're lying to them?
Well, it's funny. I did when it was at Monsterpalooza a couple weekends ago here in Los Angeles, in Pasadena, honestly. I went up to Nev. It was really nice. We had a really good moment with me and my family and her, and we said, the film really means a lot to us. We've seen it so many times, and you're such an important part. My daughter was like freaking out because this is like her icon. I mean, this is like, I mean, imagine at that age being able to meet somebody like that. I mean, she's seen the movie like. She's only 14, but she's seen the movie at least 30 times. So it means a great deal to her. Honestly, she's not a fan of part 5. My daughter hates part 5, but
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So we go up and at the end, I'm like, you mean so much to this franchise. Are we gonna see you? Actually, I said, you probably hear this all the time, but please, whatever you do, don't let them ever kill Sydney.
Yeah.
And then she says, and then she kind of gave me a nod, like she understood, like absolutely not. And then I said, and hopefully we'll see you in 6. And then she kind of goes, I passed, and I was shocked that she would tell me, just some.
Yeah.
So obviously, yes, there's some random guy who just said, hey, are you going to be in this one? And she goes, I passed. And I'm like, oh gosh, okay, wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but it was nice to meet you, and she's very nice. I was honestly, I should have asked a follow-up question.
Yeah.
But I was so shocked that she had told me that,
Right.
And then yeah, I put it up. I was doing my vlog of the convention, and I threw it in there. And I'll be honest, I kind of didn't get a lot of the comments. A lot of it wasn't directed at me. It was just other people talking about, oh, you're some random YouTuber thinks he's got a scoop, crazy. Yeah. And honestly, I heard it from you. I heard it from Craven. But I didn't read any comments. Nobody tagged me in anything. So in a way, I was kind of outside of the bubble of attack, but it was a nice thing. But I honestly didn't. I mean, I knew I was right. I knew I wasn't lying. So I just kind of sat back and said, well, we'll find out. And you guys don't know I'm not lying.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, that's awesome. And you're right. I mean, because I met her back in 2015. I went to a fan expo in Toronto. Toronto does that every year one. I went to that for, I think, 5 years in a row. Nathan Fillion, Nev. But I only got a picture, which is very little talk. It's when they, take you and you get into the line. So it was almost no talking, and not the actual thing. But yeah, I mean, if she were to say that out loud, it'd be like, oh my, it would just catch you so off guard that she would actually, and that was obviously the talk, right? Why would she say something like that? Is she lying to you? Are they lying? That kind of stuff. I mean, I get it to an extent, but it is nuts that happened. All right. So fast forwarding for 2 weeks now. I want to just get your take on it. For those that haven't heard, what do you think not having Sydney in the movie? What's that like? Do you think they can get her back? All that stuff.
I was crushed when she said she wasn't in it, and I think I said it in my video. I'm done with the franchise in terms of it being Scream. I mean, say what you will. the only reason they're continuing without Sydney is it's a cash grab, and West would not have done it. Whatever anybody says, West would never have continued on without Sydney. I mean, look at his look at his first franchise. Look at Nightmare on Elm Street. When he came back in part 3, what did he do? He brought Nancy back.
Yeah.
When he came back again, what did he do? He brought Heather Langenkamp back. So he knew, that she was as important as the face of the franchise. Of course, Freddy's different than Ghostface because Ghostface is a different person in every movie.
Right.
So you can't necessarily have that, just to have the killer continue because it's not the same killer.
Yeah.
Which would have worked if Jill had lived, but that's a different conversation. Well, I love Jill.
Me too.
I'm heartbroken, and to me this is a huge blow to part 6, and to me it's I'm considering it the fan fiction trilogy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean at this point, because it just feels like, I mean, either unless and I'm gonna watch it, I'll watch it, unless Courtney is used in a really effective way, like, oh wow, she's really great in this, and
Right.
it's a really good use of Gale, and Kirby's used in a really good way, that could win me over, absolutely could. But if it's one of those things where they get killed off and it's just the new guys, then forget that shit. I'm not interested at all. But yeah, and the fact that they didn't pay her what she's worth. I mean, that's huge, especially now I'm in the industry and we hear all this talk about equal pay, equal rights.
Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious, man, isn't it?
It's like, and then you're telling me that they literally, I mean, yes, you could say Ghostface is the face of the franchise, but there would not be a Scream anything if it wasn't for Sidney Prescott. She was the reason for all the first 4 movies, people.
Yeah.
Without her in it, what do you got? You just got some people that are pretending to be killed by Ghostface, and then you got basically just another season of the TV show, which I wasn't a big fan of.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I agree. The first thing I immediately think, because obviously Twitter just has every single opinion that's humanly possible all coming together. But the idea of, like you said, Hollywood. I mean, how much do we hear these Hollywood elite talk to us because they know us? Obviously, they know better than us. Equal pay, equal rights, and then all of a sudden, oh, you're not paying a woman. Oh, that's fascinating. So it's just such a that really I think just highlights how much of hypocrites they all are, to be flat out honest. But it is a joke, and there is a divide between the executives and then obviously, like Tyler and Matt and the, the creative team. But as we've talked about, or maybe you see, I think Steven of Craven Something Scary has talked about it too, factually, we're getting a secondary script, right? Because the first script had Sydney and Gale in it. You would imagine. And it seems like that's how it is. And so because you don't have Sydney, they're going with a backup plan. Now, the backup script could be better than the first script, but and you're a filmmaker. I think from a fan that kind of just wants to see what they're made of, right? Like, give us what you want to do. I want to see that first one, right? What do you actually want to give us for a Scream movie? Give us that first one, and instead they have to fall back on this, backup plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's huge. I mean, if she was in the movie and all of a sudden she's not in the movie, I mean, unless she was completely superfluous and she was just maybe showed up for, oh hey, yeah, oh yeah, it's me. Oh, okay, sounds good. I mean, then maybe it's easily written out. But I predict, I mean, I will never know for a fact, but I'll say, I guess my suspicion is they announced Kirby so early because they knew they lost Neve. And so they wanted to get the fans on board immediately.
Right.
And the way to do that was to bring Kirby in. And maybe that's what spurred bringing Kirby in, and Kirby's taking Sydney's place.
Right. I mean, because at this point, it's like Courtney still is not officially official, right? They have never done a press statement. So you're right. Like, Hayden is the only one besides the 4 that they came out and said, let's make a big deal on this Friday, right? Let's get everybody into whatever day it was. And it's like, yeah, why? That seemed, right now, looking back, that seems so off because it's the only time they did something like that. So I agree with you. So now fast forwarding, I guess, to the movie filming, it is a bit more exciting, right? The Neve stuff is definitely still there, and I think it'll continue to cause problems throughout the movie. I really do. I don't think it kind of just magically goes away. I think people kind of think it may, but it's not going to. What do you think about what we've seen? I know there's one debate of there was like somebody said somebody was really like a beanie, or maybe it was Christmas themed, and then yesterday they saw Halloween decorations. So do you think this is themed? Do you think they're messing with people? What do you think's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. This is sort of in keeping with the industry in general, I actually pitched an idea for a Scream follow-up years and years ago, and the theme was going to be holidays. And the first one would be on Halloween, second one would be Christmas, the
Yeah.
last one would be New Year's Eve. So to see holidays incorporated, I think is really great.
Yeah.
But yeah, is it Halloween? I mean, I think that would be kind of cool, and
Yeah.
that'd be another element that I think I would really like
Right.
to see in the franchise. It's hard to tell now. I doubt that they have time, honestly, to mess with people. I mean, I think they don't want to.
Right.
With all the bad press going on, I think it'd be in bad taste to just like mess with people, like have have like a super chubby guy on set as Ghostface, and be like,
Yeah.
hey, what's going on? Like, obviously that guy's the killer, Like,
Right.
I don't think they have time for that. And I would imagine they are rushing through this production, especially because,
Yeah.
I mean, did you listen to the commentary for part 5?
No. No.
If you listen to the commentary, two things jumped out at me. First of all, everybody says radio silence, radio silence. It's not radio silence. The main person in charge of this franchise is James Vanderbilt, because he talked the most in that commentary.
Oh
And
yeah.
he said, "Oh, I decided this, I did that, and then we did this, and then I brought radio silence in." The radio silence guys barely talk.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, those guys aren't really running the show. It is James Vanderbilt, and to a degree, Guy Busick. But so that really jumped out at me. That James Vanderbilt's kind of like the main head there, because he's
Right.
also a producer. But at the end, they said, "Hey, we had a lot of fun. Let's go make another one." Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So their tone told me that they had been working on this since recording of the commentary track. So that the fact that they jumped on, "Hey, we're making part 6" almost immediately, that was sort of a done deal already.
Right.
Um, so I feel like, yeah, I mean, the movie's gonna be out in less than a year.
Yeah.
So I would imagine they don't have time to mess with people and put up, fake props and things.
Right. And I mean, and the best thing that I honestly, because I like the idea of movies being standalone and even, in a creative process having a conclusion to each one. But I mean, to not kid people, like obviously Scream 5 is supposed to spawn a trilogy, right? So if they come out and they're just honest and they say, yeah, we have a plan kind of in our heads, maybe some of it's not full for 6 and 7. I kind of want to hear that, because to pretend like it's not would just come across pretty stupid, right? So that makes sense. And Scream 2 obviously was pretty quick overall. So I don't really think the timing. Now, the movie was delayed filming a couple days, at least 3 from what, we saw. So they've already lost 3 days. They have to kind of catch up. Yeah, the theme of Halloween. I mean, they could do something for Christmas, and then there's a huge time jump. There could be time jumps. They could be messing with us. It could be nothing. Like there could just be Ghostface paraphernalia for no reason. Did you see the mansion picture?
Yeah,
You think
it's.
third act or something else?
I mean, it looks awesome. It could just be, oh, this is also here, but it
Yeah.
almost feels, it just also feels a little too much for a Scream movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like an abandoned, what is it, an insane asylum or something? I don't
Man, it
know.
looks like it. It looks like a bigger and better, like if you wanted to do 3 again, what I mean, kind of like one up it, like that's what you would come up. That's a mansion you'd find to try to one up 3. I don't know. I mean, it does scream third act vibes, but it doesn't. We'll have to see if they actually film there. We also they haven't gone to the college yet, to start doing that stuff. So that'll eventually happen. Now, how much? Well, based off the filming, because I was actually thinking about this today, or maybe I made it in a video. They start in this, street, there's a lot of trees, a lot of, environment. How much do you think could be split? Because I think, the worry is, right, that they'll literally copy 2. I think both of us are kind of the same age. We don't want 2 again. How much do you think college, like percent wise, will be in the movie?
Gosh, I hope very, very little. I'm not a fan of them doing that whatsoever. I think it's a bad move, especially if they want to make their trilogies different.
Yeah.
And they want to stand out from the. I mean, we still don't know if this is going to be called Scream 2. I'm really
Yeah.
scared that they're going to do that. I think going to college is a bad move. I think the New York setting is interesting. I don't love New York in general. I'm not a big fan of New York movies.
Yeah.
Uh, Everybody's made the joke of Ghostface takes Manhattan. You
Right.
know, so I don't know. There's just so many things about this movie that are already kind of like, ugh, yeah, I don't know about this. Neve, New York, is college. I don't know. I really hope that they understand that they should not be copying what we've seen before, because that no one's gonna like that. And this,
Yeah.
honestly, this one is gonna define whether we get a 7 or not.
Yeah.
This one is gonna be the one that says, "Oh yeah, these guys are making Scream is in the right hands, and this is gonna be a good movie." But if they fumble the ball, and they've already done it with Nev, I mean, there's so many people who aren't gonna see it because she's not in it.
Yeah.
If they fumble, which they potentially could very hard, then that's it for this entire franchise,
Right.
at least for 10
Well,
years.
and not to and not to harp too much on it because I've said it in the past, but like you just brought up, the thing that worries me. This will be the last worrisome. I want to ask you positive questions, but no, the thing that worries me about 6, Nev, right? So we just said Nev is a huge thing, and that's going to hurt both the celebrities talking about her, right? Because that doesn't look good, having these celebrities say, these people are sexist and all that stuff. So you got that. You have Nev just not being in it, so no Sydney. There will be people that get hit. Then you also have the fact that the OG3 now becomes 1. So that is a hit. You have the bringing everybody back for like a new launch. You can never do that again. And that was a thing, we talked about, I think, when 5 was coming out, that people, coincidentally forgotten about. Yeah, 6 follows 5, but you can never do the hype of 5 again. You can ride the hype, but that's not the same as like exploding in the beginning. So I've always kind of said you'll never get the same hype. And then 5 wasn't all that well received. That's a thing also, I think, Scream diehards don't tend to think about. I liked it. I overall did like it quite a bit, but there's a lot of people that didn't like it, or people that maybe were giving it one chance and it didn't work. So this movie has 4, in my opinion, now 4 big things all working against it. So in terms of the money, getting a Scream 7, I've already gone on record. I think Craven went on record. The movie's going to make less than 5. I fully believe that. I don't think it's going to match 5. And now, will it get a 7? I think it will. I think probably 110 gets that number, gets you there, most likely. It's not going to look great for them, but it'll probably get there. What do you have any number predictions?
Well, these movies are fairly cheap to make. I mean, these aren't
Right.
$100 million movies.
Yeah.
20, 30 million, 30 million probably at most. I think maybe 5 had less than 20. So I know they have more for this one, but
Yeah.
there's a lot working against it. Like we've talked about. I mean, look at this. Look at the poster for 5. Nev's face was the biggest face on there, right?
Yeah.
Because
That's kind of an issue.
they knew, right? They knew that people go, "Oh, well, look, Sydney's in it," and
Yeah.
everyone else was smaller. So now we're just gonna have Gail's face.
Right.
That's gonna play kind of strange for a lot of people. And then I did another video where I talked with Skeet, and
Yeah.
according to him, he's not in it either.
Right.
So the problem that 6 faces now is, for those who liked 5, or I'm okay with 5. I kind of accepted it for what it is. I don't love it. There's a lot that doesn't make sense, especially when they talk about the stab movies and things. But um, I'm okay with 5. But 6 now has a lot to sort of make up for it, in terms of sort of making 5 even more worthwhile.
Yeah.
If 6 falters, for example, if they don't bring Billy back and they kind of drop that storyline, it's like, oh, that's weird. That's weird that it's only in the 5th one.
Yeah.
Is she not crazy anymore?
Right.
If 6 falters, it would retroactively make 5 a bad movie.
Yeah. No, that's a good. I mean, and this can kind of lead us into some of the more positive things. So it really lives or dies on the 4 of them. I really, the 4 new ones, and I think Tara is a lock that we can expect good things. I think everybody's kind of on board with Jenna as a great actress, but the other 3, there's potential in all of them, maybe except for Chad, just because he's like in the movie for 10 seconds. But there's enough there where they can do stuff. But like you said, I mean, if you fumble Sam, I struggle to say twice in a row, because then I would say she's bad in 5 and people have an issue with that. But if she's a middling, I've said this before, if she's a middling lead character again, that is not going to look, because she's not great, but she's not bad. She's in the middle. She has good moments, right? So if you do that again, that's not going to look good. Tara is a lock. Mindy and Chad, you can do, whatever you want. So what do you think, what would you like to see maybe out of those 4, because it does live or die on them?
I think we're definitely going to see Tara take more of a bigger part in the movie. I think they know the audience really responded to her, even though she was in a hospital for almost
Yeah.
80% of the movie. She's definitely going to become the lead here. I do think they're going to do a lot to gives Sam more of more impetus in the story. I mean, she's definitely needs to earn her place as the new lead of the franchise. Will she turn and become bad? I don't think we're gonna see that. I know they've said, and another thing that kind of worries me, not to go too far off on a tangent, but to reference
That's
something like
okay.
Last Jedi, where I'm not a big fan of Last Jedi, and I
I
think,
despise it. I
yeah, I
despise
mean,
it.
I think everyone, even if you love Last Jedi, you can agree that that's the movie that really fractured the
Oh yeah.
fandom.
Oh yeah.
They've mentioned a couple times that Scream 6 is the one where they're going to break all the rules.
Yeah.
And I think there was a mention of Brian Johnson, I think, at some point that he was the director of Stab 8.
Fab 8. Yeah.
So, I mean, if this is the last Jedi of the Scream franchise, oh my God.
I know.
It's a apocalyptic disaster for fans of Ghostface, who, by the way, I was an OG. I was there opening night for the first one, and he's with me all the time. Um, but they really have a lot of work to do to make these characters really stand on their own. Because yes, they had Dewey. You know, Dewey was there, so he was sort of the blanket for all the new guys.
Yeah.
I like Mindy. You know, I think she won me over. Chad is okay. You know, he didn't really make an impression on me. But I expect that one of them will die.
Yeah.
Most likely Chad. You know, they did say they're gonna up the stakes and things like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you think they would kill one of the two of Sam Tara or leave him alone?
I think they'll leave him alone. I think if anything, we'll get a. I mean, I'd love a cliffhanger ending,
Me
where
too.
maybe it's revealed that Sam is also a ghost face and she's responsible for some of the killings that weren't like, wait, but who killed Joey? Oh, we don't
Right.
know. And then it's revealed that she did it. That'd
Yeah.
be great, you know.
Yeah.
And then maybe part 7 is the sisters, or she's trying to figure out who the killer is and it's her sister, but we know that it's Sam. I think that would be interesting.
Yep.
So that's hopefully what they'll do. But I think for sure, the Meeks Martin twins are on the chopping block in some way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, and Mindy, like you said, I think she did good. I think she shined in the roles that she had. I think what would help either one of them is if the other one died and we got some sort of emotion from them. But the thing that worries me is they don't actually seem all that close in 5. They don't actually seem like they care at all about each other. So that is because I was thinking today, for some reason, I was literally thinking of these two. That's what I do with my life. And I thought, you know, if they were to kill Mindy, that would be a good chance for Chad to like show, because I think up Chad. But then I thought, yeah, but they didn't really seem like they cared at all in the 5th one. So you have to kind of bridge that. That was just something I kind of went off on because I think that kind of matters. And Sam and Tara actually same thing, right? Because they're connected. Mindy and Chad are connected. So I think you could do stuff with eliminating some because I think the other one could react. And I also think what could help them, and I want to hear you on this. So we don't know the cast, right? Besides them, we've heard rumors. There's 3 of them that whether they've flown to Montreal, they're there, maybe they auditioned, maybe they didn't. How big do you think the cast is? And do you think, because I kind of think the cast is smaller, and I think that probably helps because obviously you can focus on who you have. So what maybe is your read on how big of a cast we're getting?
I honestly think they'll probably follow Scream 2, and Scream 2 had a supersized cast.
Oh yeah.
A lot of fodder, you know. Sarah Michelle Gellar, you know, yeah, 2 scenes. That's great. You know, I think, didn't they mention something that they weren't going to announce the cast, or they were going to keep the cast sequestered or something?
Yeah, well, the rumor is they have the 4 of them and probably, well, 6, right? Because maybe Hayden and Courtney. You do 6. They film through June, and then the new cast comes in July. So keep, yeah, like you said, to keep them all together. Now, my thing is, I half believe it, half think it's garbage because I just don't believe you can. I mean, you would know this. If you only have the 6 of them, that's a lot of stand-ins, isn't it? Because what if they're talking? Then you have to have the back of another person's head over and over. That just seems annoying. I get it from the sense of you're keeping everybody there at one time, so nobody's allowed to leave, so you don't know who dies. That's genius. That's smart. But the first part of it just sounds dumb from an effective standpoint.
Yeah, production wise, it doesn't make any sense. You certainly want all the actors there if they're in the scene. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you're dealing with, you know, somebody like Vin Diesel who just film my close-ups and I'll walk away and then everyone just talks to like a stick.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think anybody's like that. And I can't imagine that Courtney is going to take the summer off to just hide in Montreal. I mean, I know
True.
she's filming a TV show too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me in terms of why they're doing that.
Yeah.
If I don't know, that's a weird piece of news. Yeah, production wise, it makes absolutely no
So,
sense.
so you think it'll be a now? Do you think it being supersized will hurt it, or do you think they're doing it for kills? Like, what do you think?
Yeah. Oh, 100% for kills. 100%. They're gonna up the kills. I mean, I think Jenna even said the script is more violent.
Yeah.
They're 100% gonna up the kills. I think they should, and I think it should be very gory. It should be graphic. I mean, we should be shocked. I mean, I think part five was, the kills were kind of lame, except for Wes's death. I think most of them were Wes and Judy's. Rest in peace. Oh God, what a waste. I mean, they should not have killed her.
Do you think when she says like brutal, do you think she's kind of referencing almost like her attack, because her attack was brutal in 5?
Yeah,
If they did more of that, that'd be awesome for me.
right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I did like what they did with the Ghostface in 5, making, distinguishing the different kills.
Yeah.
You could tell that Amber was the super stab happy one. I did like that, and so I'd like to see stuff like that where we see, at least Ghostface approaching it a different way or using different weapons. I mean, it's about time.
Yeah.
Jason used different weapons, so every once in a while, change it up. Not just a gun and a knife.
Right.
That'd be great.
So I guess to kind of wrap it, I mean, what is your general sense of, how do you think it's gonna go? What do you think, what do you think maybe they'll do? Because I keep going back to like a big cast. You may be right. You may be right, and it could be a big cast. And if it's a big cast, though, I just get the sense you can't really I'm trying to think of two. Really, who is all that I mean, Gail was the most, right? She kind of led. But one of the major issues with two, thinking back, isn't it that kind of Sydney took a big back step? Like she didn't, she wasn't as. So do you want that for Sam? Like Sam, like we just said, Sam really needs to take that next step. She can't be the exact same as, and if you're focusing on everything else. So I don't know. So what do you think about that? What do you think they're gonna do?
It's funny because I like part two. It's not my favorite sequel.
Yeah, I like it. But it has faults with like the lead of Sydney, and if you do that with Sam, Sam is not as strong going into two as Sydney was going into two.
That's the big problem. Yes, Sydney was established as a super badass. We loved her. She was the the girl next door. You wanted her to live. You wanted her to survive. Here, I mean, if Sam dies, it honestly wouldn't rock my world. Be like, all right, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? It wouldn't be like, oh my god, I can't believe they killed that character off. Like if they killed, I think the only character Mindy, if they killed Mindy, that would be like, oh wow,
yeah,
they developed her the most and they're throwing her away. That seems like that would be a shock, just because it feels like a missed opportunity, like just to keep her going,
yeah.
especially with no Randy and no,
Right,
no Dewey there.
right.
Uh, so they have a lot of work to do, and they should develop the characters that they've established, and they should give them something more to do. Because without that, you're just watching random people get killed, and that's really not interesting. And
Yeah,
it's always been about people we care about interacting with the meta world, and I hope I hope we get that, and I hope it's not just a kill movie, because as fun as that would be, just watch. Overall, it hurts the franchise, and I think the franchise is already hurt. And I know a lot of people already, in the studio are like, I'm sure somebody got fired over the whole Neve Campbell thing because of of all the bad press.
yeah,
Is going to affect the movie overall, and I don't see this opening big. Maybe a good opening weekend, but then it's just going to taper off. I mean, honestly, I've only planned to see it once. I'm gonna see it opening night, just so that to like not have to avoid spoilers.
yeah.
Unless it rocks me, my prediction is I probably won't go back, and I may not even add it to my Blu-ray collection.
Well, this has got to be a word of mouth, really, for all, man. Because I mean, 5 did good, but I mean, it kept doing decently well. I mean, that's just how it went, and that's how it was successful. So I mean, yeah, word of mouth. And I don't remember the movies, but somebody went through. There's, I think, a huge movie both of the 2 weeks before it. Like, so it comes out the 31st. Literally, the week before it is a huge movie. Week before that is a huge movie. So those may hurt it as well, because you're still going week 2, week 3 with those. So that's kind of an issue. We'll see how that goes. But one final thing I want to end on is you mentioned Dewey. I wanted to get your take. Do you think, well, a couple of things. Do you think, like reference? Do you think Gail goes to? I know I've heard you say, and I agree. I want to see her at like his gravestone. I think you mentioned it. So do you think he's mentioned anything like that? Do you think that they have a replacement character in mind that they could try to substitute?
I think replacing him would be a very bad idea. I think a lot of people would just like thumb their nose at that, like, no, 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 no. This is not Dewey. I don't know who this is, but we don't care about this guy. But they will reference him. I'm guessing we will see Gail's book about Dewey.
Yeah, that's what
Uh,
I think.
you know,
Yeah.
maybe she's at a book signing or something. They can't do book signing because they did that in part four. But maybe it's on her shelf, and I'm gonna guess we'll see Dewey's ashes next to Tatum's ashes.
Yeah.
Maybe Gail kept both or something like that. I assume that that'll be the case. At least I hope they do that, and it seems like they will because they were very referential to all the other
Yeah.
movies. So I do hope that they continue to do that, and we do see a little bit of Dewey. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to see because you have the I don't remember, I keep forgetting his name, but whoever they just cast about a week or two ago, he'll probably play some sort of detective role. Now that doesn't have to be a Dewey, right? It could just be some other kind of role, but I wonder if they will have some sort of goofy, kind of character. We'll see because that an issue with 5 kinda was that everybody was almost the same. Like Wes, I actually liked Wes, but Wes was kinda like Mindy in which he was very aware, which is fine, but they were almost all too aware. Even Chad actually is pretty so Chad and Mindy, there really is not much that distinguishes them. Wes is pretty close to them. You know what I mean? So I'd like to see that maybe spread out, get in your own little boxes, and stay there.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's really important to distinguish everybody. I mean, you look. I'll look at my two favorite entries. The first one, everybody feels so distinct. I mean, there's nobody like Stu.
Yeah.
There's nobody like Randy. Billy's very different. And then part four, say what you will about Charlie, but all the other characters really stand out as unique kind of individuals.
Yeah.
Kirby struck a chord for a reason. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because she's so unique, and a lot of people. I mean, if anything, she's gonna take center stage as a new Randy Dewey combo,
Right.
and I'm all for that. I just hope they don't waste these characters because then honestly, they kill her in the opening scene, you lose half the audience.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that would be a killing. Really, either Kirby or Gale is just a real. Especially, I mean, maybe you could have, not in the opening, never. But I mean, if you kill Kirby at the end of 6, I mean that would be shocking and that would be big, and I'm sure that would affect people. But only if you had Sydney, I think. Only having them two, I really think. And that's another thing. Circling back to the very beginning with the whole script thing and the idea of you're not going to get their first vision because I think that's a legitimate for me. That's a legitimate concern because what if the plan maybe was, well, we have to kill Kirby, but now it's like, well, now we only have Kirby and Gale, so we literally can't. So I guess what I'm saying is because Nev's not in it, decisions around the movie now have to be warped because of that, and that's not their original. And their original vision could have sucked, but I at least wanted to see it to see what they can do. You know what I mean? And that I'm not even I guess I am a creator on like YouTube, but I'm not like a film guy. But I've even said that before in games and movie. Like, give me your first vision. No studio interference. Just let me see it. And it may suck. A lot of them probably will suck. But let me just see what you got without anybody messing with you.
Yeah. We're never gonna get that perfect version of 6.
Yeah, no, that's done.
I don't know, man. It's we'll see in March. I mean, I guess when the first trailer drops, we'll get a real taste of what exactly we're getting.
Yeah.
But I'm really worried. I'm very, very worried.
Yeah. I mean, they're on the right path recently just because it's the filming. But again, the Nev thing, and we'll see. Yeah, like you said, the trailer should give us some hints, especially. Well, the trailer could spoil the whole thing. That's a whole different, because 5 did that. But we'll see how it goes. All right. So make sure, I want to make this very clear. Make sure you guys subscribe to Mastercast TV. Great, great guy. Great creator. His stuff is in the description if you guys want to check him out. Make sure you're subscribed here. All that good stuff. This is the beginning. We'll definitely do more of this stuff as time goes on. With Craven, with everybody, really. I want to kind of get everybody together. So there'll be lots more Scream stuff. Mastercast, thank you again so much for being here.
My pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you guys, of course, for watching, and we'll see you all on the next video.